They tell you South America is a paradise of rhythm and color. They sell you images of the Amazon, a vast, untouched Eden. They show you the snow-capped peaks of the Andes, the vibrant carnivals of Rio, the tango halls of Buenos Aires. It's a continent marketed as a grand adventure, a feast for the senses, a place where ancient history and modern life dance in perfect harmony. It's a beautiful story, but it's only half the truth. Because beneath the glossy surface of the travel brochures, there is another map, one drawn in shadows and written in blood. This map isn't found in any atlas. Its borders are not marked by rivers or mountains, but by the invisible lines of cartel territories, the desperate frontiers of illegal mining, and the urban labyrinths where police fear to tread. It's a geography of fear, a landscape of risk that exists just beyond the tourist trail. I've traveled to over 40 countries, many of them balanced on a knife's edge. My work has taken me far from the beaten path. I've walked through active conflict zones where the air crackles with tension, and sat with those who survived the places the world forgot. I've listened to their stories in hushed tones, stories of loss, of resilience, and of the daily struggle to simply exist in areas where the rule of law has evaporated. This journey is not about thrill-seeking. It's about understanding the forces that shape these dangerous spaces and giving voice to the silent warnings that echo within them. Today, we are tearing up the postcards. We are turning our gaze to the corners of the continent that are rarely spoken of, let alone shown. We are counting down the 50 most dangerous places on this continent. This is not a list based on opinion or hearsay. It is a meticulous compilation, cross-referencing data from government travel advisories, reports from non-governmental organizations, crime statistics from local and international bodies, and on-the-ground intelligence from journalists and security analysts. We've examined homicide rates, kidnapping statistics, the prevalence of armed groups, and the stability of local governance to create a definitive guide to the places you should never visit. This is the honest truth, unvarnished and unfiltered. A word of caution: the content ahead is graphic and may be disturbing to some viewers. It deals with real-world violence and extreme situations. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This is the Forbidden Map. Chapter 1. 50 through 41. We start our countdown at the edge, in places where state authority is a distant memory and help, should you need it, does not come. These are not just cities or towns. They are ecosystems of danger, each with its own unique blend of threats. From narco-trafficking corridors and lawless borderlands to urban centres collapsing under the weight of gang warfare, our first 10 entries represent the outer ring of this continental inferno. For each location, we will pinpoint its position, dissect the specific dangers you would face, and explain the complex web of social, economic and political factors that have turned it into a no-go zone. This is a tool for awareness, a guide for survival. Listen carefully, travel wisely, or do not travel at all. Our journey into the shadows begins now. 50. Our countdown begins at number 50, in the port city of Guayaquil, Ecuador. Tourists flock to its revitalized riverfront, the Malecon 2000, a gleaming symbol of progress and commerce. But venture south, away from the polished boardwalks and into the sprawling districts of Guasmo and Trinitaria, and you cross an invisible yet lethal boundary. Here, the postcard image of Ecuador dissolves into a starkly different reality. This is a different world, one governed not by law, but by fear. These neighborhoods are the battlegrounds for some of South America's most violent gangs, names like Los Choneros and Los Lobos, who act as local franchises for powerful international drug cartels, including Mexico's infamous Sinaloa and Jalisco New Generation. Their business is cocaine, and Guayaquil's port is the grand prize, a primary gateway for shipping narcotics to Europe and North America. The result is a state of perpetual, low-grade warfare. This is a landscape of territorial wars fought block by block for control over smuggling routes, extortion rackets, and the loyalty of the populace. The currency of these conflicts is bullets, and the price is paid daily in human lives. For the residents, survival is a complex calculus of allegiances and avoidance. For an outsider, it's a minefield. If you find yourself on the wrong street here, marked as enemy territory by the graffiti on the walls, there is no one coming to help. The police are outmanned, outgunned, and often compromised. You are on your own. At number 49, we travel to Colombia's sprawling capital. In the heart of Bogotá lies Kennedy. With over 1 million residents packed into just 38 square kilometers, it's one of the most densely populated areas in the country. This density creates a perfect storm of anonymity and opportunity for criminal enterprises to flourish. Here, the drug markets, known as ollas or pots, operate in broad daylight. They are not hidden in shadowy alleys, but are woven into the fabric of daily life, often centered in bustling commercial areas like Corabastos, one of the largest wholesale markets in Latin America. The sheer volume of people and commerce provides cover for transactions, but it also fuels a volatile atmosphere where petty crime escalates to lethal violence in a heartbeat. A stolen wallet, a disputed debt, an accidental glance, any can be a death sentence. The primary threat here isn't large-scale cartel warfare, but the unpredictable hair-trigger violence of street-level gangs and desperate individuals. The district's layout, a chaotic grid of identical-looking streets and narrow passageways, becomes a defensive advantage for criminals and a nightmare for law enforcement. It is a maze where the law of the street is the only law that matters, and getting lost can be the last mistake you ever make. For number 48, we return to Ecuador, to a place that feels a world away from the urban chaos of Guayaquil. Hidden near the Colombian border, nestled among mangrove swamps and dense jungle, the port of San Lorenzo is a ghost-filled port. This isn't a city of millions, but a small isolated town of around 40,000, whose isolation is the very source of its danger. Its strategic location on the Pacific coast, just miles from the Colombian border, makes it a logistical jewel for narco-traffickers. It's a primary transit point for massive drug shipments, moving cocaine from the jungles of Colombia out to the open sea via go-fast boats and even crewed semi-submersibles. The area is a playground for Colombian armed groups, including dissident factions of the FARC and other criminal bands who cross the porous border at will. They control the town through intimidation, violence and extortion, turning San Lorenzo into a virtual fiefdom. Kidnappings, assassinations, and forced recruitment are common tactics used to maintain their grip. The state's presence is minimal, its authority non-existent. In this remote corner of the world, the air is thick with paranoia. Every unfamiliar face is a potential threat. Every boat on the horizon, a possible enemy. Here, the silence is more terrifying than the noise, because you never know what's hiding within. Number 47 takes us to the Caribbean coast of Venezuela, to the city of Cumaná. Founded in 1515, it is the oldest continuously inhabited European established city in the mainland Americas. But its rich history is now overshadowed by a grim present. In Cumaná, the danger isn't just about gangs, it's about desperation. Years of profound economic collapse and crippling food scarcity have eroded the very fabric of society. When grocery stores are empty and basic services fail, the rules that govern civilized life begin to fray. Hunger has turned neighbors against each other. Looting, once sporadic, became a daily occurrence. The fight for survival is primal and absolute. This societal decay has created a power vacuum. The complete institutional breakdown has left the streets to the most violent predators. Organized gangs, known as megabandas, now control entire neighborhoods, running extortion rackets and engaging in kidnapping and piracy along the coast. With a collapsed justice system and a corrupt, ineffective police force, there is no recourse for victims. Cumaná is a chilling portrait of what happens when a city is pushed past its breaking point. We arrive at number 46 in Peru's capital. High on the steep winding hills that ring the city of Lima, the district of Villa Maria del Triunfo is a fortress of gang activity. This is one of the city's largest and most populous shantytowns, or pueblos jóvenes, a sprawling city within a city built from brick, concrete and sheer will. Here, the geography itself is an enemy. The district climbs impossibly steep slopes, a chaotic labyrinth of narrow alleys, unpaved roads and endless staircases that connect one precarious home to the next. This vertical landscape provides the perfect defense for the criminal gangs that control the territory. The narrow paths make it impossible for police patrols to enter and easy for criminals to vanish. Lookouts, or campanas, are posted at key vantage points, communicating via radio or simple signals to warn of any approaching authorities. For law enforcement, any incursion is a high-risk operation, often resulting in ambushes. For residents, it means living under the thumb of gangs who traffic drugs, extort businesses and settle scores with impunity. 5 down, 45 to go. From the gang-ruled ports of Ecuador to the desperate streets of Venezuela, these places represent the complex overlapping crises of crime, poverty and institutional failure that define the continent's most dangerous zones. As we continue our descent, the risks will escalate and the lines between predator and prey will blur even further. When daylight fades, the truth steps out. Our journey takes us next to a city that has become synonymous with both transformation and terror. Medellin. Comuna 13. By day, a symbol of urban renewal, celebrated for its vibrant art and innovative public transport. By night, a warning. We begin our countdown at number 45, Comuna 13 in Medellin, Colombia. By day, it is a celebrated symbol of transformation, a community that climbed out of violence through art and resilience. Tourists ride the famous outdoor escalators, marveling at vibrant murals that tell a story of hope. But this is a story with two faces. When the sun sets, the escalators stop and invisible borders reappear. The vibrant energy evaporates, replaced by a tense quiet. These borders are lines of control drawn by local gangs, or combos, who have never truly left. They are the legacy of a time when this hillside was a strategic corridor for cartels and paramilitaries. Criminal organizations still breathe in the shadows. Their currency is not art, but extortion, the vacunas levied on local businesses. They control micro-trafficking and enforce their own brutal justice. The murals that seem hopeful by day can feel like territorial markers at night. For outsiders, the danger is robbery, or accidentally crossing a territorial line. For residents, it is the constant hum of knowing who is truly in charge. The transformation is real, but it is fragile, and the night remembers everything. Number 44 takes us to a place that is not one city, but three nations colliding. The triple frontier, where Paraguay, Brazil and Argentina meet. This is the lawless frontier. Its notoriety is rooted in geography. The porous borders and differing laws of three countries create a perfect ecosystem for illicit activity, a jurisdictional black hole where criminals can simply cross a river to escape pursuit. This hub for money laundering and arms trafficking is where the world's most dangerous organizations come to do business. From Hezbollah to Brazil's Primeiro Comando da Capital to Colombian cartels, they are all drawn here. The sheer volume of contraband, from electronics to narcotics, is staggering. It is a global supermarket for the underworld, facilitated by deep-rooted corruption. You can buy anything: counterfeit goods, weapons-grade explosives, fraudulent passports. The danger here is not overt street violence, but the insidious threat of the unknown. You are surrounded by operatives from global terror cells and cartel enforcers. It is a Cold War played out in humid back rooms and shadowy river crossings, where a wrong look can have fatal consequences. At number 43, we return to Colombia, to its main Pacific gateway, the port of Buenaventura. This city has one of the highest homicide rates in the world, but that statistic only scratches the surface. Buenaventura is a humanitarian catastrophe disguised as a city. It is a place of strategic importance, handling over half of Colombia's international trade. Yet the vast majority of its population lives in crushing poverty. This grotesque inequality fuels a perpetual state of war. Cartels and neo-paramilitary groups like the Clan del Golfo fight block by block for control of the shipping lanes. They battle for the right to extort businesses and to control the routes used to smuggle cocaine out and weapons in. The city is carved into invisible territories, and crossing from one to another is a life-or-death gamble. The violence here is medieval. Buenaventura became infamous for its casas de pique, or chop houses, buildings where victims were dismembered, their remains thrown into the sea. While authorities have cracked down, the practice has not been eradicated. It is a city defined by systematic violence, where the value of a human life is measured against the price of a kilogram of cocaine. For number 42, we travel to Georgetown, the capital of Guyana, and to a notorious waterfront slum known as Tiger Bay. This is not a place of cartel armies, but a stronghold of gang violence born from desperation. Situated just blocks from the nation's parliament, Tiger Bay is a stark reminder of the deep social and economic divides that plague the country. It's a labyrinth of dilapidated wooden shacks, many lacking basic sanitation and electricity. With Guyana's recent oil boom, the gap between the haves and have-nots has widened into a chasm. The wealth flows around places like Tiger Bay, but never into them. This breeds resentment and creates a fertile recruiting ground for criminal gangs who thrive on robbery, drug trafficking and violence. The police are often reluctant to enter, leaving residents to fend for themselves. In these streets, survival is decided by territory. For an outsider, wandering into Tiger Bay, especially after dark, is an invitation for robbery. For those who live there, the danger is constant. The risk of being caught in the crossfire of a gang dispute or being targeted by criminals who operate with near total impunity. Our final stop in this segment, at number 41, is Rosario, Argentina. Once a peaceful port city known as the birthplace of Che Guevara and Lionel Messi, Rosario has been ravaged by the Los Monos organization. This is a homegrown cancer. Los Monos, a family-run gang, has systematically corrupted the city over 2 decades, turning it into Argentina's drug trafficking capital. Their reign has unleashed unprecedented drug gang warfare that has turned residential neighborhoods into combat zones. The city's homicide rate has skyrocketed to 5 times the national average. The violence is brazen and indiscriminate. Assassins on motorcycles, sicarios, carry out hits in broad daylight. They target not just rivals, but judges and witnesses, leaving threatening banners on public buildings, a clear message that they, not the state, are in control. Even with the leaders of Los Monos in prison, they continue to run their empire from behind bars. For the citizens of Rosario, life has become a state of siege. Children can no longer play outside in many neighborhoods. The simple act of being on the street at the wrong time can be a death sentence. The city's soul is being held hostage. This is not about fear. It is about understanding the complex forces, poverty, corruption and geography that create these zones of danger. From rainforests to river ports to concrete warrens, the map keeps darkening. These 5 locations are just the beginning of our descent. Next, we go deeper into the heart of the continent, where the stakes get higher and the shadows grow longer. Count carefully. The borders move and the list continues.